Well, I've got 3 special needs kids. I've got 2 with severe autism, and I've got 1 with Down syndrome. And then I also had 2 parents, early 80s. So my mother just passed away in May, so I was taking care of her. They live in South Tulsa. So my father I'm still taking care of. So I've got 4 people that I'm taking care of. 12, 17, and 18, and then my dad's 81. Probably the best thing about being a family caregiver is, seeing them smile, seeing them laugh. Like my 12-year-old that has Down syndrome, she's adorable, and I love seeing her laugh. The most challenging thing is juggling, having to juggle everybody at the same time. When everybody needs you at the same time, because I juggle taking care of my dad in South Tulsa, and then having to be here for the kids at the same time. It is hard to juggle. I have an HTS, which is a habilitation training specialist that comes to the house, kind of a respite nanny that comes to the house Monday through Friday. So she helps me out, and I can sometimes get away, but it just depends upon what mood the kids are in. So sometimes I can get real respite where I could leave, and most of the time I can't, because a few of the kids are a little needy. Well, I have to get a massage once every couple months because my back, my sciatic nerve. So that's nice whenever I can get a massage, and I try to take care of myself, but the lesson that I'd like to share is you have to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, then you can't take care of anybody else. You won't be here for them. Not only take time for yourself, but also go out with friends. Go out on a date with your spouse, or to go anywhere together without taking care of your kids or parents or whatever. Just do the best you can. Try to take care of everybody. Do the best you can. Try to get as much help as you can by asking questions to other people that know.
We have been caregivers for Jason for almost, in January, 12 years. She's been coming to us since we found out that she was here. The first time she was just a tiny infant, and she came to us for 2 weeks. She was just like, "Want to take her?" So I said, "Okay." So from there, for the first 2 years, I could be coming home from work, and I would be having dinner, and they would call and say, "Hey, Jason wants to see you." I would go get her, and I'd have her from anywhere from a week to a month. So that's how it just started that way. And we didn't mind. At the time, I was a personal assistant, and my boss understood. She knew everything about what was going on. And there was, most of the time was during the times that she was away, and I would just take Jason to work with me, or do. I've learned that you cannot do this on your own. Grandparents raising grandkids, it's a great group. I've been going for 2 years. This group of women that I'm with right now, we all laugh and give each other advice, and just try to help each other, because little bitty ones, older ones, and it's just nice that those kids are together, and they're getting to know each other. They all like each other. They feel like they're wanted in a group. We just seem to have a good time. I need to find someone that I can, everything that I have here, I need to get out, because it's not easy sometimes. Everybody needs a break, but when you can't get a break, that's really hard. The best thing about being Jason's caregiver is that she is, from the moment we met her, we fell in love with her right away. First grandchild, and we would do just anything for her. My husband cried the first time he saw her. And he said, "This is my girl." And even now, he's every morning he wakes up, he says, "Good morning, I love you." Oh no, she's a good girl. She's sweet. She does the things that she needs to do around the house. The hardest thing for her to do is clean up her room. we are we're just happy to have her. I don't think I could go a day without her. She's our pride and joy.
I would say the circumstances that led me to become a caregiver. My brother Caleb, he is 8 years old currently. He was diagnosed with autism when he was 4. It was really hard at first, just because, how I mentioned, like we weren't really aware of what autism was or how to support him. So it's been a really long journey to have gotten where we are now. And I think right now he's doing really, really well. I'm the oldest in my family, so I think my mom relies on me a lot to take care of my siblings in general. But with my brother's condition, it was like 10 times more of, her needing my support. Um, so yeah, I feel like I'm like his second mom pretty much. So I think I never really started to think about uh, like the intensity of my, me being a caregiver until recently. But for example, if no one was there to take care of my sibling, like it would have to be me. Really like a huge role to think about and to take on. And that's, something that I think most people don't normally think about unless, you have someone you're like caring for. I feel like I've learned so many lessons, not just about being a caregiver, but specifically in my situation about autism. Like how I said, I wasn't really like knowledgeable on it, and I feel like with my brother's diagnosis, it's literally opened up this whole world of just like people with special needs in general. I feel like that's not something that I ever really thought about, like people with disabilities, until like I was experiencing it with my brother. Just like learning about all the resources that there is, like here in Oklahoma. I learned about like sip shops. I never knew sip shops existed until recently. So yeah, I think just all of those like lessons that I've learned through that have been really helpful, just in seeing like that there really is so much like support. What really helped him just grow more as an individual is when he started taking therapy. And so recently he started doing ABA therapy, and that has been really, really helpful for him. I think we've also been working a lot on trying to just take him more places in public. His therapist made a really good point that you don't really see people with autism in public, or just people with disabilities in public in general, because people think like, oh, it's too hard to take my son to the park, or do certain things, just like regular things that every person should be able to do. We've also taken him to like the zoo. He loves the zoo. He loves animals so much. So he did really well at the zoo. My mom has actually bought him T-shirts that say like, "Be patient with me, I have autism." And so when when we went to the zoo, he wore that out in public, and I think it was overall a general experience, because it's, people saw that. And as much as it sucks that, he has to wear a T-shirt for people to like not be judgmental towards him, that's like what helped. I know it's not possible for everyone, but for example, when we went to the library, when we went to the zoo, like his therapist came with us. And so that's been helpful, just because they, know his behaviors a little bit better than us, just because they work with him every day on those. So they have like, certain, like, I guess, methods on how to calm him down if he's having a meltdown faster than we do. So that has been helpful. I would say as a whole, what makes like caregivers a real MVP, I think caregivers are really like resilient. They're really like passionate and determined, about whoever it is that they're caregiving for. Yeah, I just think it's a different level of strength that like most people don't really see in caregivers.
Caregiving was not really on the top of my list with my family, but my mom had been living in independent living for 8 years after my dad died, and she was having a stomach bug or some stomach issues in the independent apartment that she was in. They called me, took her to the hospital. And so she had some kind of a medical event that has gone undiagnosed. There was not really ever anything. And so we went home with home health. She was very weak, and but she was alert and oriented again, which she hadn't been for 24 hours. I really thought, and my siblings thought, that we were taking her home for hospice care and to die. 2.5 years later, she's still living at my home. I would say the best thing about being her caregiver is seeing her every day, getting to talk to her, and seeing her thrive with family, and looking forward to that. The other thing is just hearing her. Well, my mom's a Christian. Hearing her prayers at night, oh my goodness, I hadn't heard them since I was a little girl. So hearing those is really special. She's such a sweet person that she's so appreciative of everything, that I'm blessed in that manner. The most challenging thing, and I would say that that's true even as independent as my mom is that it is 24/7. I mean, if I'm here, I do think about her and wonder if she's okay. There's sometimes that I think about it more often than others. If you want to go away, then you have to think about who can you get to stay with mom while I go. If you're going to be late, what do I do about dinner for mom? Spontaneity as an individual is decreased because you're always having to think about what do I do with my mom in that situation. Lessons I've learned that if I could teach you something, this is what I'd want you to know. Number one is that you can only do it as long as you can do it. There may come a time when you can't keep your family member at home, and that's okay. You do it as long as you can, as well as you can. Another thing is to give yourself grace. People fall in the blink of an eye. You can be standing next to them and they will fall. You are allowed to go to the bathroom. You are allowed to not have that person in your sight 24/7, 365 days a year. Things happen. Be graceful to yourself, as graceful as you would be to anybody else that was taking care of your loved one. Don't be so hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Live with no regrets. Do what you need to do, but don't have regrets. If you're regretting what you're doing, then you need to probably look at doing something else. And I don't think you'll ever regret the time you spend taking care of someone you love. I would also add, not everybody can do it, and that's okay. I mean, you have to know if you can or can't. You might not have the resources, you might not have the strength. Taking care of you really is important. And I don't think we can overemphasize that enough, that taking care of yourself is vital. I mean, you have to have some ways out, even if it's just somebody that comes and has dinner with your loved one once a week or once a month, and you get to go out just with your friends or your spouse or your children or whoever it is, and not be on duty for that couple of hours. That's vital. And there are people in your world who will do that, but we have to be willing to ask for help. And many, many, many of us are not willing to ask for help. There are people who will help you if you'll just reach out.
So the circumstances for us to become a caregiver have been kind of quite simple. Our son Yoel, our biological son, who's going to be 9, was born with autism. When he was first born, there were some signs. He wouldn't make eye contact. He wasn't really responsive to his name. Then around, I want to say, a year old, we took him to the pediatrician. She had a lot of concerns, and she referred him to infants and toddlers, and that's kind of where the journey started with his diagnosis.
The best thing about being a family caregiver is just it pushed me outside my comfort zone. I'm very, I have to plan everything out. I like to be super organized. I like to have everything I'm just very structured in how I want things to be done. And he kind of gets me outside of that, to explore things in a different way, to just enjoy things. Just going outside and enjoy being in the grass or looking at stuff, looking at the sunset. He shows me how to like slow down, even though he goes very, very fast. It's kind of interesting, but yes, that's one of the best things is watching his development and him helping me relax.
Just with him, there's a level of like spontaneity where, you know, if you have a plan, it's getting thrown out the window, and just being able to adapt and adjust. And honestly, just, you know, in my perspective, he's a blessing. And it's like, you know, we were the ones chosen, equipped to raise him, so there's no greater joy. We've really been blessed with Sooner success here in Oklahoma. They had the camp, sibling camp. That's the first time this past summer, first time in his whole life he spent overnight away from us.
Yes.
So 2 whole nights.
Almost 9 years.
We spent with them, and they put us in touch with wonderful people like Janet O'Hara at Will's house, she runs a respite center. So he goes there from time to time. So it's really about finding your tribe, finding people who you can kind of lock in with, I guess, so to speak, what the youth would say, and then just, you know, taking it from there. So we do have some resources. Also, our church as well. It may not seem like much, but for at least 2-3 hours a week, they with the youth ministry, and on Sundays they do spend time with him. So we're able to go to church and, you know, partake in our church family as well. I'd say what makes Caregivers MVPs is just being able to self-sacrifice and just care for someone. They may not even be, I'd even say care for someone who may not be blood relative. You know, you have folks who adopt children who may have special needs or considerations. So just being able to lay your love, you know, like how does the quote go? Like, there's no greater love than to lay your life for someone else. So I do believe that applies, like in this situation.
It's just like, just having empathy for other people. What makes us pretty much the MVPs is that we have to live this every day. It's not just like work or a career. Like, we have to, this is entrenched in what we do. Like I said, when we wake up, how we plan our day, as activities, things like that. And, you know, they're not convenient to us. It's a sacrifice, not just a sacrifice for us, for me and my husband. It's a sacrifice for our daughter. That's what makes us the MVPs, is that we're willing to do what most people are not willing to do.
Sure, so lessons in caregiving I'd like to share. Just be like, you're gonna have some really hard days, really bad days, but just know that there's always, you know, another side to it, a brighter side to it, a more positive side to it. And there are folks who care, and there are folks who are in your shoes. And honestly, there's folks who deal with even more. So just being grateful, I feel like just practicing gratitude, being grateful for what you have.
But the one day at a time, and just also realize that this is your new norm. And your norm is going to be different from someone else's norm. You can't compare yourself to another caregiver, even if your child has the exact same special need. You still cannot compare yourself to how they are.
We adopted Garrett, our oldest son, when he was 3. And when G came home, he had only lived in a hospital or institutional setting. And so this was new for him and new for us. We were first-time parents and young, and it was his first time to live in a home, to ride in a car, to walk barefoot in the grass, to take a bath in a regular bathtub. So we were all trying on new things together and learning together. Fast forward 28 years, Garrett is now 31, and it's only really been in the last few years when other people use that term caregiver that I even thought, does that apply to me? I'm just G's mom. I'm not a caregiver, I'm just a mom. Being G's mom has given me incredible opportunities to learn and grow in ways that I never imagined. I'm a professor in the Department of Human Development and Family Science, and then I also founded the OSU Center for Developmental Disabilities. I went into the field because of G. So I think, I was a medical social worker, and then we adopted Garrett, and he gave me lots of opportunities to learn, and I thought, I think I'm gonna head back to school and learn a little bit more, and certainly he has strongly influenced the work that I do. It gives me unique experiences and perspectives, and I'm really grateful for that. I think about that Garrett requires pretty direct communication, and because of that, conversations around our dinner table have always been less filtered. And I love that. I love that for what we learn from that, what my other children have learned from that, and who G is. I think about also the really incredible network of relationships and friends that we have because G is G. When Garrett is hurting, that is the most difficult. Watching him navigate loss is tough. And right now, we're in a season where he's really struggling physically and emotionally. He moved into his own apartment about a year and a half ago, and we celebrated big. We had a huge moving out party in this room and celebrated big. And then about a year later, he really had a health crisis and he needed to move home. And watching him lose his independence and lose what he thought his future was going to look like was really hard and sometimes heart-wrenching. My husband and I do a lot of tag teaming. I can't imagine how we would do it if we weren't able to say to each other, I gotta tap out for a minute, or for 30 minutes, or for a couple of hours. And so I'm really appreciative for that. I also learned a long time ago, G spent a lot of time in the hospital, and then coming home often meant a long recovery. And so there were times when I thought, how do I navigate what he needs and what I need? And I learned pretty early that I could put him in a wagon and hook up the IV pole, and we could go around in the backyard together, and I could dig my hands in the dirt and I could garden. And even now, watching my garden bloom and die and then bloom again gives me hope, and that's a respite for me. Be kind to yourself. Figure out what it is that you need so that you can continually give to others. Don't get too tired, too hungry, too lonely, those things.